So, welcome to another Discipline Hustle podcast where we help individuals and businesses learn, build, and grow. By listening to the stories of others, we learn a lot about their businesses and we learn a lot about ourselves. So, today we're going to have Geremy and Zachary Yamamoto. They're the owners and co-founders of Eazy House Sale. And I'll let them explain what they do. But welcome, guys, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for having us, Rob.
You're welcome. All right, Reggie, what's the first question?
So the first question, I don't know if you guys took some time to take a look at it, but really is tell us about Eazy House Sale. Like, what is the business? What do you guys do? Kind of give us your elevator pitch. I'm sure you guys talk a lot about it. So tell us what it is that you guys do.
Okay, so Eazy House Sale is basically an investment company, fix and flip company. We buy properties that are haven't been maintained. People haven't done anything to the property for a while. Sometimes they're hoarder houses. A lot of times they just need some love. They're not financeable in the current condition. So we give a cash offer, purchase these properties. Then we have a construction teams go in there, fix the houses up. We have a designer in there. And then Zach, manages the construction teams. We resell the house, to a retail buyer. So we kind of, we do basically real estate investments, property management, and construction.
Okay, perfect. So so the next question, what about you, Zach? Like, how did you get into this thing?
So I started as just an assistant in Geremy's office, actually. That's how I kind of dipped my toes into real estate. Turned out I actually really enjoyed it. So got my license and then, took off from there. But I did start off on the real estate agent side of things before we got into the investments.
And is that how you got started, Geremy? Like, what's your origin story? How did you get to where you were before to here?
I actually started out as a real estate agent. I read that book, Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Before that, in college. That was probably the only book I read in college, in the first year of college. So after I read that book, I dropped out of college, got a real estate license. Yeah. I worked for a Century 21.
Okay. What was the timeline? When were you working there?
This was in 2002.
Okay.
2002. Okay. So I was 20 years old. I bought my first property. I was 22. So this was in 2004. It was right before. Yeah. Well, way before the crash. We had some good years there. Yeah. So it was just doing normal real estate transactions as a real estate agent, and then. Obviously the market turned. We had the big 2008, 2009. Yeah. And so from there, we started doing bank-owned properties. Our large account was Fannie Mae, and they hired us to get rid of all their REO distressed properties. And they're paying us like 2%, 2.5%. We're in the Inland Empire at that time. Right. So, we're basically negotiating cash for keys. Floating all the utility costs, managing the contractors, doing all the stuff. The houses at that time were like $250,000. So we're getting paid like $6,000 to do all this work. I mean, I feel blessed. We had work coming in, but finally we got smart and said, hey, we could do this ourselves. And that's kind of how we shifted to the investment side.
Do you think that, like the HGTV and all those shows, do you think that helped or hurt what it is that you guys are doing? Like all those house flippers and all that stuff, and all those crazy shows. People, oh no, we turned this $500,000 home to like a $1.2 million home, and you're like, how? What? How did that happen?
I mean, I think overall it's helped because it gives the typical consumer watching TV that, you could actually sell your house without a real estate agent to someone cash, and it kind of opened their eyes that there's this avenue as well. Because I mean, really, like maybe 1 out of 10 people would fit our business model. The other 9 people, they should list their house with a real estate agent. Their house is in good condition. They're trying to get top dollar. For us, it's it's a completely like convenience factor. You basically tell us we want the money in 7 days, 14 days. And we send the mobile notary to your house. They sign the documents. There's no appraisal, no inspections. Whatever they don't want, they just leave in the house. They don't have to clean it.
So as is.
So it doesn't get easier than that. So But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, it helps. I mean, it kind of, the perception, it kind of rubs people the wrong way. You know, people think we get rich, you know, off of one property. It's nothing like that. You know, it's a grind.
Hard work. Yeah, it's hard work.
It's hard
Well,
work.
yeah, I mean, some of these shows, it's like, you know, they buy a house really cheap, right?
Mhm.
And they're like, oh, our budget is $250,000. I'm like, what? Like, that doesn't make, you know, I just see it. I'm just like, I feel like that really, it probably got more people like, oh, wow, okay, I could do this on my own, or, you know, whatever it is.
It's entertainment, brother.
What
They
is,
gotta make-
what
they
is
gotta
your, you know, what is your favorite part about doing this business? Obviously outside of the money, but like, is there like a part you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be a challenge, like this is,
And both of you are going to get asked this question
Yeah.
because I think there's two sides of the coin, right? Because
Yeah.
I've talked to Zachary sometimes about some of the things that he likes and dislikes about, you know, the business. So, you know, this is all about honesty, brother.
Yeah, Zach, go ahead. You talk.
Yeah. So some of the things that we like and don't, or the things I like and don't like about the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it gets kind of challenging working with your brother, especially when he's older. but it's also on the flip side, yeah, it's also very fun sometimes, you know. So it has its ebbs and its flows. It's definitely been a challenge.
I'm an older brother and Reggie's a younger brother.
No, I'm
so.
older. I'm older. I'm older. Yeah.
So how does it work for you guys?
Well, I
No. But I mean, yeah, he's got an older brother, and I've got James, my younger brother. So you know, it has its challenges at times, you know, right? So we can understand that, but yeah, it's somehow you guys make it work. You know, you guys have been in business together for quite a while, so you know, we're definitely, the audience is interested in that too, to hear how a family-owned business runs. You know, how you have how you work out their day and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both get the satisfaction and fulfillment, you know, of taking basically the worst house in the neighborhood, the one that smells like cats and
oh my God.
dogs and is an eyesore for all the neighbors, you know, the one they're all complaining about. You can imagine it.
Yeah.
House, and we actually make it the best house on the block. And we always joke, is like, man, all these these neighbors should be sending us Christmas cards after, because
you just up the value.
We up the whole neighborhood by about 100,000, you know, with the new comp, with this comp. You know?
So how do you? Okay, so this is a question. So how do you guys even decide what property to buy? Is it location? Is it price? Is it like, what is it to say? Okay, yeah, we could do something here, and we can help, like you said, the whole neighborhood. Like, what are some of those factors? You're like, okay, let's buy this property, because you said you don't see it sometimes, right? Or do you see it?
See the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the times we see the house. I mean, there's been rare instances we got to buy it sight unseen.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, there's no appraisal. We don't, once
Right.
we see it one time, that's it. And that, we don't go back to the house. But it's just all numbers. There's not a certain location. We cover all of Southern California. So it's just based on, what we see, how much money we got to put into it. And looking at the numbers, we're just trying not to lose our pants, on any of the deals, and if we can come out with a little bit of money, the seller comes out, with their nice, easy, convenient sale for them, everyone's happy.
Makes sense.
Do you guys go out to like bid then when you have a proposal to fix it up? Do you have like several handymen or construction people, depending on their area of expertise and your need for the property? Do you kind of bid everything out and let everyone bid on it, or do you just have some go-to guys that you go to?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of after we acquire the property.
Okay.
When we go there, I mean, we've done so many houses that we know, like going there, I have an estimate, of how much we're going to pay. And then Zach will go out there. He'll put his head together with our designer. She's actually Anne's sister. So our sister-in-law.
Oh, really in the family?
So,
that's
yeah,
nice.
really in the family. So, so Zach, you go ahead and explain to Zach how you guys put the bids together and the scope of work.
Yeah, so we break it down by major components of the house. So we'll look at like the roof, foundation, windows, all the major stuff. And we kind of just chunk things together into like 6 categories that we're really estimating for. All the little things, they kind of are covered within those estimates. So it's for us, it's kind of plug and play. Sometimes we'll run into something very unique on a property, but for the most part, it's the same dance on all these rehabs.
So you're like an inspector because you're going in there and you're inspecting the house to kind of decide what needs to be worked on, right?
Yeah. I mean, we do rely a lot on whatever my observations are on the house. If I do miss something, that could be critical to the budget. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, in a sense, I am kind of like the inspector for our team.
Very good.
And it happened.
So what is your here's a question. What's like the worst property situation that you had, and what is the best property situation that you've had? Like, did you put a bid, you win it, and you go to it and you're like, oh no, like this is gonna go way over our butt, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's got to be some kind of stories like that where you're like,
oh man, there's and story after stories like that. I mean, there's properties. There's one we bought in Hollywood. You can see it right off the 101 freeway off Cahuenga. And we bought three duplexes from a lady at once in a package, and it's like right on the freeway. And there was code violations on it, so we're dealing with the city of LA, and as our team, we bought this for the other company. Our team all pulled together and we figured out how to make it work. But the whole time it was just like a nightmare, like praying to break even, on two of them. We figured it out, but it's we're dealing with tenants that were giving us a really hard time. Housing department, it was just that was pretty bad. I don't know what else, Zach. Fernfield, like we bought a house and there's like 100 dead cats underneath the house.
Oh my God.
We bought in houses where there's bones, people.
Oh my!
House.
Wow.
I'm not gonna say which one. But,
Oh,
we bought
Feel
houses.
a book coming on. I don't know, man.
Yeah, we bought houses where the people got shot right outside.
Oh my gosh.
And then so we just we run into these landmines all the time. We just bought a house actually, and there was no foundation.
Whoa.
We went there. We're like, what the hell? And it was our different guy, our other rep that went, and he looked at it real quick. And I mean, he's usually very thorough, real good, but we're all human. After looking at
So he missed the foundation.
so many houses, I mean, it's you kind of you got to imagine there's stuff everywhere. And you're trying not to step on things, and it's so that was fun. We had to rebuild the whole entire foundation on the house.
Wow.
What about your, like, what's the best story? We're like, oh wow, okay, we came out really big on this. The property values around all went up. Like, do you have one where like, okay, yeah, this was good. This was
maybe the story like they have on TV where it's like they doubled the the value of the house, all of a sudden.
I mean, it's just kind of dumb luck, where we buy it and the market gets real hot. Typically, if like we buy something in January, and then we get it ready to market by April, we just get a lift. And then so something we think, we listed one, I think for like 980 and it sold for over 1.1.
Okay.
So it's just dumb luck, and we don't calculate it like that, and it happens, Zach does a good job with Gina putting out a real nice product. So that when people see it, they're all fighting over it and becomes like kind of a frenzy.
Right.
Not so much, this year, but I mean, it's happened the last couple of years.
So you mentioned you gotta, it's real estate, right? So you got the ebbs and the flows of this. So this is a question for both of you individually, but what is your, we always ask this, what's your why? Like, what's the thing that keeps you going in those tough times when you're like, oh man, like the market is really bad? Like, what is it that keeps you going? Zach, go.
Yeah. For me, it's just staying focused on getting 1% better every day. I just want to improve myself as much as I can. And real estate affords a lot of flexibility on schedule, scheduling yourself. There's a lot of time flexibility. So yeah, I think that's my biggest why into why I'm doing real estate. It allows for me to pursue, personal development.
Okay, that's good.
How about you, Geremy?
Well, I got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and
Motivation.
Diapers ain't cheap either.
Oh my gosh, no kidding. Dude, I have 4, so
Oh man, so
Yeah.
yeah, we really don't have a choice, but I mean, it's really it's for the freedom,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of small business owners can relate to that. It's for the freedom, not having to work for corporate America. Do have your own vision, be able to execute your vision, be able to grow, be able to keep, help people, help our customers, help all of our contractors, help all of our team members, and watch everyone grow. It's a beautiful thing.
How big is your team?
So with Eazy House Sale, it's me, Zach, and then we got three other people, and then our other company is called Blue Wave Investments. It's myself, business partner Mike, and then we have three other team members there.
Oh wow, okay.
We'll do that on another podcast.
Yeah.
We'll bring that up, focus on that. But no, I'm very, very happy for all of you guys. You guys are doing very well, and through the ebbs and flows of everything, and speaking of, that's a good segue into the next question. So how has the current economy and your industry market trends affected your business? I mean, there's a lot of talk about all kinds of tariffs, and there's all kinds of supply chain issues, and then there's the housing crisis that's here in Los Angeles. So how is that, in the year 2025, the summer of 2025, affecting you guys?
I mean, I think the biggest impact is there's no certainty right now.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's hesitant to buy, hesitant to sell. So that's, the real estate market's soft. That combined with high interest rates, prices that are very unaffordable, it's a tough market to navigate in. But I think, when we don't know what's going to happen. One day there's like 150% tariffs on China.
Yeah.
Like the next day we're like, well, we're about to go to war with this country.
Right.
Oh yeah, we're going to take over Greenland. So I think with all that going on, people are just on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I think everyone. It's kind of like COVID. The pandemic when that first started. Everyone kind of just stepped back, but we didn't know what was going to be the effects of it. So the market kind of just froze. Real estate market froze at that time. I would say it's pretty similar. I mean, the only thing that is, I think, keeping it going here locally in LA is there's no homes for sale. So because there's a low inventory, we're still able to resell our houses, but it's challenging. I mean, finding a deal that pencils out right now is a challenge, and then reselling it, it's a challenge. So usually if we're able to buy a property real easily, then it's going to be real hard to resell, because that means the market, but, or, vice versa. If it's real difficult to buy, when we do get a hold of something, people pay top dollar and it's easy to resell. But right now it's tough on both fronts. It's difficult.
Yeah. So Zach, do you like when you're inspecting and your guys are trying to like design, redesign or do whatever it is that you're doing, are you thinking about, okay, well, I don't know, this might cost too much right now because of, tariffs or whatever is going on? Do you have to think about stuff like that? Like, oh my gosh, we want to do this tile, but we can't because it's going to cost 3 times as much now or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Because we've seen all the materials and the prices on materials. Contractors been telling us that for like the last probably year now. Prices are going up on materials. So so that hurts us on the rehabs. It kind of limits us. But going into each property, we kind of look at the local market there and see what, who's most likely going to be buying this house. And that's kind of what determines kind of the direction we go as far as the design. So we kind of have our plug and play packages that we do from house to house, same color schemes, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Good.
So now you guys have been doing this for a while. So I guess really, Geremy, you started this. So the question is, what's the one piece of advice that you would give yourself before starting, let's just say, Eazy House Sale?
I would say, probably focus more on a niche, than rather so far out, spread out. If we would have been more focused on one niche, I mean, that would have been huge. And then also focused on marketing. I see a lot of people I don't know. I mean, on all channels, social media, podcasts like this, like I said, it's the first time we've done anything like this. Rob's laughing at us like, man, it's 2025, man.
Hey, I just started this myself. I started
Yeah.
becoming a podcaster, and this is always something I wanted to do. So you guys are fulfilling a dream for me, because this is something I've always wanted to do. And with Reggie's help, because Reggie's the marketing guy, yeah, it's very important. Marketing is everything, because that keeps the pipeline going, and does everything. Yeah. And then it leads to sales and business development and et cetera. So yeah, you're right. The marketing is very important. So no, that's sage advice.
We're kind of like different, because a lot of the investors, you'll see them, oh, we made this much money on Instagram. Oh, we did this. Look at this flip.
Here's my course.
Oh,
so.
Yeah. They're selling a book
there's nothing wrong with a course, but I'm just saying, like, they're no longer doing real estate now. They're just trying to sell, right? They're just trying to sell the course. And all this stuff.
So, I mean, that's cool. That's their hustle. I respect it, but we're like the opposite, we're actually doing the business. We're doing more than all these other people are doing, and helping a lot more people, but it's a secret. No one knows, because we're not effectively marketing it. So who's I mean, that's kind of dumb, right?
No, it makes sense. I've told this to Rob before. I said you literally could have a website that reads your mind, but if nobody knows about it, then it's like it doesn't exist, right? If you're not marketing it, it really doesn't. It used to be a joke. If it's not on Facebook, it didn't happen, right? Or it's not, you know what I mean? Like if it's, so, but yeah, I mean, that makes total sense. I do like the idea of a niche, like, but when in your space, what do you mean a niche? Are you talking about a type of house or an area, or?
It could be any. I mean, it could have been like we could only focused on 2 to 4 units, or like 5 to 10 units. The one that's the properties that's not big enough for the big boys. The hedge funds to come in buy.
Yeah.
But still for us locally, if we would have just strategically went after these kind of properties, or maybe houses with only 1 bathroom. And then we go in there, figure out how to put a second bathroom in, or maybe all condos, or maybe properties for handicapped people, little ramps and stuff, or VAs, or I mean, just work with only VA veterans, make the house good for veterans, So I mean, there's so many different avenues, we could have done. I mean, the problem is we're just trying to, it's like any small business owner, we're just running at the beginning, taking whatever comes to us. But I mean, if I can turn back the, hands of time, I mean, I would say, so what's that? Like that other guy says, no, don't make me niche slap you. You're niche slap, man. It's like, it's so true though. I mean, we're a generalist. I mean, it's, look at doctors, general practitioner, how's their practice versus a brain surgeon.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one thing. I mean, we could still explore it, but we're pretty set in our way,
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense. And what about you, Zach? Like, what's that one piece of advice you might give somebody that said, "Hey, look, real estate's still good right now," or "I'm in Arizona, I can do this." Like, what's the one piece of advice you would give somebody that wants to just get into real estate?
Actually, this could probably be applied to any business, but it's systems. Literally, like
Rob is like, yes,
yeah.
Systems. Operations guy over there.
Yeah, I'm the operations guy.
Seriously, that was like one of my biggest struggles early on, was just not getting the systems down or understanding the process. I would miss steps until I realized, like, you just write it down, literally write out the list. So yeah, that's probably the biggest.
So did you have to kind of create your own system, like spreadsheets or whatever, or are you using a specific platform geared towards real estate, or how are you working your system?
Oh yeah, we got all kinds of stuff, but a lot of our stuff can be on Google Office or Google Business. Sure. So Google Sheets, Docs. We have other software we're using, like Asana. I don't know if you guys that one.
Yeah,
so that's more like a task manager, which really helps with the construction side of things for us. So building that out, I feel like streamlined a lot of our rehab process, made it a lot more predictable. The budgets are a little bit more accurate right now. So
No,
Very
that's good. That actually leads to the another question. What is I'll ask this to Geremy. What's the one piece of advice you would give a person that wants to start a business? So Zach kind of gave his systems. What would be like, not real estate, just in general of starting a business? What's that one piece of advice you might give somebody that said, hey, I want to start a business?
I mean, I think focus on yourself first, and focus on invest in yourself, I should say, through education. You go learn as much as you can. But next is figure out your who. Who do you need to make this happen? And I think, that's another thing too. Going back, if I would have been smarter about, hiring the right people or doing this and that. Nothing wrong with that.
I was gonna say he's your first hire over here.
Not you, Zach, but
oh man, yeah.
For you.
Don't work with family.
Case in point.
Don't work with family.
Nah, but yeah, if you're starting it off, find the right people.
Yeah.
Find the right people, get the right people you're surrounded by. And that's something we're still learning, we know how to sell, we know how to repair houses, we know how to do this stuff, but are we excellent at finding top tier talent? Not quite yet, and I think that's the next 10 years is going to be our focus and how we plan to proceed.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very good. Yeah,
that's awesome. Rob, do you have any other questions before we get to our random question?
No, I think you guys covered all the basics of your business, and again, I'm really impressed by what you guys do, because I was telling Zach when I talked on the phone with him one time, I was like, man, just to bring that all together, it's a project in itself, just to like take something that's all junky and just to make it happen, because it's a lot of like project management, getting all the parts and pieces together, getting all the people together. And I think Geremy and you, Zach, have given us a very good description of how that works and what it takes, because it's just not like television where just voila happens when the commercial goes on and all of a sudden the house is done. There's a lot to it in between, and so I really appreciate what you guys have to go through. So no, let's do the fun part of this. So
all right.
yeah, go ahead,
Reggie. All of this was fun, Rob. What do you mean though?
Yeah, it's always fun.
Here?
It's always
all
good
right,
to talk
so
to everybody.
We have a random question generator. I'm going to share my screen here. Let me know when you guys.
And we have no idea what's going to ask.
So
just be prepared.
A bunch of random questions.
Right.
I think they're clean. Most of them, no, they're all clean. I think
they're all clean. We briefed them.
You don't have to keep it clean.
You don't have to go to. You don't have to go to church
all right,
on
so
Sunday.
we'll spin it and we'll see. It's just literally a random. It could be anything. Let's see what we got here. Oh, this will be interesting. So, what's the weirdest job you've ever had?
And it doesn't have to be the real estate job, because I know you guys were doing all kinds of hustles in your day. So go ahead, Geremy, you first.
So when I was 17 as a hitman, nah, I'm just kidding.
We're gonna edit that out.
Oh wait, not that one. We'll leave that in the family.
Really, a plumber. I jumped straight into real estate from when I was 20 years old. So there hasn't really been any other job since then. It's been real estate and growing these companies since then.
All right. What about you, Zach?
Question. I don't know. I've only done restaurant jobs, really.
There you go.
Yeah, restaurant before I got into real estate, it was just a couple restaurant jobs. So
learning that customer service, right? Being humble, getting ordered around, getting ready for Geremy to boss you around. So it's
I don't know if anything would have got me ready for that.
That's funny.
I'll
give you my
No,
weirdest
thanks
job.
a lot, you guys. I really appreciate you. Yeah, what's your weirdest job?
So I was in college,
Rich?
and I'm just like trying to make money. And over the summer, I worked this summer festival. And the guy that was in charge of it also was in charge of the bands, the talent, the lookalike, stuff like that. He said, "Hey, you look like that guy that's playing golf right now, that Tiger Woods guy." And so, and so he said, "Here's my card. Give me a call." So I was like, "Okay, whatever." So I gave him a call, and he gave me this gig where all I did, wore the black Nike hat, red shirt, put the tape, on my finger, and I stood in the corner of this golf course, like the clubhouse, and they just took Polaroid pictures with me. All the golfers that came in for this event, they came and took pictures with me. They had scotch tasting, cigar tasting, and I stood there for you'll love this. I stood there for 2 hours, and they handed me a check for $500, and I was like, oh, okay, I could do this. Like, I literally had to do nothing but stand there. So that was like one of the weirdest things. I'm like, wow, they're gonna pay me. They all knew that I wasn't Tiger Woods, but it was the fun factor, right? Like, oh, this guy looks enough like him that
I can see it.
you know what I mean? If I take a picture with him and I put it in my office, like way back over here, people are gonna say, oh wow, you met Tiger Woods. So that was like my weirdest job I think that I've had.
Yeah, to follow that up, I mean, that's how I met Reggie, because I was an executive at ING at the time, and one of my bosses was retiring, so we were having a retirement party for him, and I hired Reggie to play that role, to play Tiger Woods. So he actually was fooled for a little while because he's an old guy, and I brought Reggie in from the back of the room, and I said, yeah, I have a special guest for you who wanted to wish you a happy retirement, and it's your favorite sport, golf. And so I brought Reggie in, and my boss was standing right next to me, and he goes, no way, you brought Tiger. And I said, yeah, the best for you. And then as he got a little closer, he kind of realized it wasn't. But, but for about 10 seconds, I had him fooled. I mean, he really thought I had Tiger Woods there.
What I've learned in doing that is, because I've done, I was on a hidden camera show on Fox and stuff like that. But what I found was, if everything around you says that's who it is, then it's like your brain is like, oh, that's who it is. Like, you don't even question it, because everything, the signs, the other people, they're all saying, oh my God, that's Tiger Woods. Then your brain can't fight it off and say, no, it's not. But yeah,
well, it makes me think about it. Like, he was like, is that him? Because
you're the one that hired him
in real life, right? So you don't know exactly what Tiger Woods
that's
looks like.
That's the funny thing. The manager, he said, look, Reg, here's the deal. He's like, if you're out there and you're doing your thing as Tiger Woods, and somebody asks you if you're him, don't say you are, but don't say you're not. You always say, well, what do you think? Right, and then just walk away. Exactly, like leave them thinking,
Yeah.
But anyways, no, we appreciate you guys. Come on, this was good. I've always kind of wanted to see what you guys do, because I see what's going on TV, and I don't know. I'm like, wow, how do they do all this? How do they know what how much square footage, all this stuff? I'm like, how do you do it? So, but it sounds like you've got good systems in place, and I think you guys have probably learned a lot. From 2000. When did you start? At 2004 or something? 2002. Yeah. There's probably been a lot of changes, and the fact that you've been doing this for that long says you guys are good at what you do. That's just my thought. I mean, you've been doing it for a long time,
that's the best thing, to have that longevity. Yeah. Those businesses that stand the test of time and the cycles of the good and bad, to make it through. That says a lot. So yeah, I really do admire you guys. So thank you very much. And Geremy, we'll have you back on for your other business. We'd like to hear more about that too, the investment business. So all right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Guys.
All right.
Have
a good weekend.
All right.
All right.